Hi, I'm not Guy Fieri, and welcome to Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dies. Last Straw comes to us from Shout Studios. It's currently streaming on Shudder. It was directed by Alan Scott Neal and written by Taylor Sardani. Check out their IMDb pages for the full listings of their work. And this takes place at a roadside diner named Fat Bottom Bistro. Make the rockin' diner go round. Well, Edward Osborne owns it, and he puts his daughter, Nancy Osborne, in charge as a manager. Nepotism ruling the goddamn world. So Nancy is played by Jessica Belkin, and she was in Hunt Club. That was a movie, at least in a sense. They actually took the lens cap off, shot some actors trying to act through whatever the fuck that script was. It was a fucking fiasco. It was really goddamn bad. So that being said, it wasn't Jessica's fault. Nobody could have saved that. You could have resurrected every single great actor and actress from throughout goddamn history, even the silent film era. You could have made that a silent film. It still wouldn't have been any better. I mean, you wouldn't have heard any of the dialogue, but nevertheless, this is about Last Straw. Everybody will reach their last straw about 25 to 30 minutes into Last Straw. Yeah, I'm kind of tipping my hands to how I felt about this movie already. What starts off is a fairly okay concept. You have Nancy as a manager of this restaurant, and there's a limited staff there. There are patrons, but then a certain thing occurs, I'll talk about in the spoilers, that leads to, well, an investigation by a certain cop because murders are taking place. Oh my god, this horrible stuff's going on. And then Nancy ends up realizing that, oh shit, she is next. What is it with Nancy in horror movies and girls named Nancy mean the targets? Nevertheless, yeah, that's pretty much your lot right there without getting into spoilers. I will say, though, it's not shocking how any of this plays out. What is shocking is just how badly it plays out. Now, look, it should have been a slam dunk. Slasher, around a diner, inside a diner, you could make it taut. You could have some good comedy. You could have some good characters. Or you could just do what the fuck they did in Last Straw and essentially phone it the fuck in. You do have a guy named Jake, not from State Farm, Taylor Kowalski. My God, not only does he have the same first name as a famous pop singer, but he has the same last name as a really famous wrestler. I'm not even knocking the guy. That's just the first two things I thought of. And then, yeah, from there you just have a couple other people. You have characters Bobby, Petey, and yeah, you just have some kooky bully biker guys and stuff like that. And you don't really have much of anything else. I mean, this thing has such a meager plot that it actually has to go backwards and show how all this stuff came to be and how this plot was particularly hatched and why Nancy is being besieged by all this violence. The thing is Nancy's not worth rooting for. The main villain is not worth rooting for. You don't really care what happens to any of the peripheral characters. None of it's any good. Again, this should have been a slam dunk, and it wasn't. It was really not very good, and honestly got dumb as hell, especially with the character motivations and people surviving things they shouldn't have fucking been able to survive, and also the attempt at emotional death by the end. Oh, fuck you. It wasn't good. It's on Shudder. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So, we start off in the beginning, obviously. You would have to do that, and when you come to the end, you stop. Bodies are all over the diner, and there was somebody calling, saying, oh, everybody's dead and everything, and it's a man's voice. Gee, I wonder who could be responsible. Because it's a guy named Jake. It's Jake. Jake's responsible. I'll tell you why in a little bit. Nancy took a pregnancy test. She is actually pregnant. Then she tells her friend Tabitha she's not sure she's going to keep it, but her dad would kill her if she tried to get rid of it. She tells her dad once she gets to the goddamn diner after her car breaks down, it was her mom's car, so they're going to fix it because it's the last thing she has last thing that she has that her mom had. And her dad says, you're going to work the late shift with Jake. I can't afford to pay other people overtime. I mean, that diner is shockingly well kept, so I'm actually kind of amazed that they don't have more customers. But then again, it doesn't seem like any houses or anything is around for 18 miles. I don't know where they filmed it, but nevertheless, before this, Bobby, a nice guy, gives her a ride, and obviously Bobby has a thing for her. And then from there, we see that Jake and Petey are brothers. Fat Bottom Bistro, I don't know why in the world that name made me laugh. And there were some goofy bikers, or, little, hoodlums, as it were, running around on dirt bike mopeds. And they knew her from school. They dropped off some roadkill for fun. Then they got into the restaurant wearing these goofy masks and everything and being like this. And it was not good. Not good at all. She calls the cops. That doesn't necessarily work. One vows that he'll be back. And then she fires Jake for insubordination or just being a fucking idiot and whatever. I mean, that's pretty much the thing right there. Like, but his mom worked for her dad, and yeah, this isn't really going all that great for Jake. So Jake and Petey drives, but Petey's got to work his shift and then leave. And she tells Bobby to fuck off because Bobby really likes her and everything in front of customers. So yeah, that's a great restaurant motto right there. So then, obviously it's Jake. Now, how did we get here? I don't know what kind of thing has a PA system, or what kind of restaurant would have a PA system for something that really doesn't have a lot of goddamn outside business. There's banging on the walls. She calls the cops. Eventually, a cop does show up. There were some, the bikers and everything, and this crazy stuff going on. Once she mentions mopeds, the cop gets very scared and takes her to the goddamn car. But then the bikers, they show up, and one hits him in the head, and she freaks out. And yeah, of course it was Jake. Why was it Jake? Because Jake didn't like getting fired, and he also is addicted to drugs. And that's it right there. He ends up having Petey drive him while he gets some, drugs, some crack. I'll get you next time. No drug dealer would do that, but whatever, it's fine. And he also ends up finding these bikers, blames them for him losing his job, stabs one, and then chokes out another. And none of the other bikers are doing it. Just, God, that scene, that interminable scene around the campfire was so fucking badly filmed. My God. It turns out that Bobby also is in on this damn thing because he was just easily lured, I guess, because Nancy rejected him. Petey, by the way, does end up getting stabbed during all this because we bought back and forth with her attacking, or her having to fight back against these guys. And then we find out, like, the origin story about how all this stuff got set up, because this movie needed a deep narrative when it was about as deep as a goddamn teaspoon of water. So this is dumb. This is really, really dumb. Bobby finally gets pissed off enough at them because Jake's a fucking drug-addled idiot and tries to fight against them, but he ends up getting stabbed. Edward ends up calling Jake totally, after being called by Nancy earlier, saying that she fired Jake. Now he's like, I know you had a disagreement. You'll always have a job with us. Jake doesn't answer because on account of him trying to murder the daughter and everything, and also keep this very, very badly formatted plan from going more awry than it already has. And Tabitha shows up, but then she runs out because she got texted from Bobby's phone. But Nancy says, come help please, but then she runs. And then we get stabbings. She stabs Jake, but then she gets stabbed, and it looks like, oh my God, she's got a baby on the way and stuff like that, and she got stabbed in the stomach. Oh no. But then she somehow manages to be just totally fine enough, despite getting stabbed in the friggin' stomach, or the liver, whatever. Jake is not doing all that well either because he got stabbed in the back, and she gets to his house. He had put a sticker on her, a Fat Bottom Bistro sticker. She put it on his doorbell, but he's so out of it and drug out, he doesn't realize what the hell's going on. She manages to sneak behind him, stab him in the neck, and then he bleeds out. And then she's walking along and passes out on the side of the road. She had the cop car and probably could have driven away, but whatever. She figured she committed enough crimes in also trying to stop crimes. And she seemingly dies on the edge of the road. But then we go back to her talking to Tabitha, and she's getting philosophical. What's the point of this all? I'm almost 20. I'm almost the same age my mom was when she had me. What's the point of all this stuff? it was a really ridiculous ponderance of exposition, talking about, what's she going to do, has the kid and stuff like that. What was she going to do when she, if she has to have the kid? She doesn't know what's going to happen. And yeah, that would be a tough thing for women to deal with, and if this character was worth rooting for, that might have had any emotional depth. But then we get back to Edward finding her on the side of the road, and the last words are, "my baby." And well, if this was somebody's baby, then they probably should have just thrown it out with the bathwater. I'm sorry, last straw was bad. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have been a full-on dick of a manager there. Jake probably should have handled it better by not being a drug-addled idiot. And every other character is really goddamn stupid. So F, I'm sorry, F. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe. Twitter, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentland. I'll see you soon.